Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer Underworlds Diachasm Arena Mortis 2 review. First of all, thanks goes to Games Workshop for providing this to review for free, but still, as always, I always aim to be impartial, honest, and constructively critical. And before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe, as well as comment as to what you thought of this review and, well, what you think of Warhammer Underworlds at the moment. So yeah, I'm back doing Warhammer Underworld stuff again. So excited that it's Arena Mortis 2. Really exciting me for the game. So, what is Arena Mortis? Arena Mortis is the multiplayer map expansion for Warhammer Underworlds. But instead of playing like with 3 or 4 players as you would in a normal multiplayer game, Warhammer Underworlds Arena Mortis consists of playing on a single game board with up to 4 players. I think it's up to 6. It varies, honestly. And you only use a single fighter. Now, the important thing to distinguish here is Arena Mortis 2 is basically unchanged from Arena Mortis. And because Games Workshop basically didn't change anything, if you want an in-depth overview of the mechanics, you can check out my article down below, which I'll link. I'll link to the normal written review and then my original Arena Mortis review from last year, because literally nothing has changed. So you're paying a lot of money for, well, I don't know how much is even going to be, 25, 30 pounds for a new game board, 40 new cards, which are 20 gambits and 20 upgrades, and some hazard cards. And you get some card tokens as well, right? And 2 fighter cards from the free Arena Mortis release on Warhammer Community back in, I think, like March or February. But basically, for the gameplay, yeah, Arena Mortis is basically a multiplayer game using single fighters on a single game board. For your decks, you don't have a normal deck, you have a Gambit and upgrade deck, and you don't have any objectives. Your rounds are just single activation rounds per player, and the turn count varies on how many players are in the game. So it's completely different to Warhammer Underworlds in general. Now, it's designed for a more casual and fun way to approach the game, but the main problem, because it differs so much from how Warhammer Underworlds plays, it basically feels like a different game. And the other issue is it's super easy to break Arena Mortis. There's a few banned cards, but Arena Mortis is so easy to break because you can use every card from every season. It's just easier to house rule, because after a game or two, you can absolutely break the game. Like, even with the special rule where if someone plays an upgrade that you have already equipped, they get the upgrade and you discard yours. It's a stopgap, because you know, you have one game someone will go full relics, and the next game someone will go, okay, I'll add relics, and then it'll just be like a stepping stone, an escalation of brokenness. And the problem is the game lends itself to brokenness. All it is about killing. There's no real tactics. You're stuck on a single board. There's no running away. Playing with friends, it's fine. Playing multiple games of it, like, it was originally envisioned that you were supposed to play this in between tournament rounds, but the game takes so long to play, it's longer to play than a single game of Underworlds. Like, I've had Arena Mortis games go up to like 2 hours with the full count of players, just because it goes on and on and on. And that's the main criticism. It's not fun. It gets boring very quickly. It's very easy to break. It doesn't feel like Underworlds. And just disappointed. Like, I knew it was coming, but I just don't enjoy Arena Mortis. I've played too many games of it, like really too many games. And as I said, if you're a casual player, you'll like it. But as a normal Underworlds player, there's only one reason. Well, there's 2 reasons, right? There's 2 reasons you're buying Arena Mortis. Firstly, it's for the game board, which is pretty good, you know. It's a nice board. I like the boards that come outside of seasons for Warhammer Underworlds, because I'm a big fan of boards. And then the cards. So you're probably buying it just for the cards, because you need the cards to be competitive. So without further ado, let's go into the cards, the most important part of the review and the product, because that's all like the people who are left remaining playing Underworlds actually care about when it comes to Arena Mortis. So as you know, Arena Mortis contains 20 Gambits and 20 upgrades. I won't go over the hazard cards properly because they're hazard cards, even though I really like them, but I will get to them. So I'll go over cards I think are okay, and then my top picks, and then after I've covered through the Gambits, upgrades, and hazard cards, there's a special subject that I would like to cover specifically for this product and this review. So for Gambits, we have a Cunning Ruse. It's only alright in Arena Mortis games. Either way, you reveal all your power cards to your opponent, then you pick and reveal 2 of their power cards. Doesn't seem worth running at all for the cost of what you're doing to activate it. A Hard Death is another weirdly situational card. When a friendly fighter dies from an attack, roll a magic dice for each adjacent enemy fighter. On the roll of a channel, deal 1 damage and give them a move token. It's alright, but too situational and unreliable for use. Abject Groveling makes you select an opponent and a number from 1 to 3. Your opponent gains that many glory points and you can draw the same number of cards or heal a fighter by that number. It's pretty fine as you'd mainly use it for the draw effect, although the downside is pretty small if you played this one far ahead, but by then the card would be pretty moot anyway. Arcane Apoplexy is an odd Gambit spell. It is cast on 2 channel, which then gives the benefit of +1 dice and damage to range 1 and 2 attack actions. To whom? Friends? Foes? Everyone on the board? It also persists till the end of the action phase. Maybe really good if we get an FAQ clarifying how it actually works. Breaking the Food Chain is +1 dice against enemy fighters with 5 or more wounds, and persists until such a fighter is taken out of action. I mean, if Morgoth's Crushers are dominating the game, then sure, this will see more use. Courage of the Meek chooses a 3 wound or less fighter. If their next attack kills an enemy with a higher wounds characteristic, you gain 1 glory. It's just not that good, even in Arena Mortis. Final Gambit is funny, but not that good. Roll 3 attack dice, and on a crit, that fighter makes a charge action, but otherwise it dies. A 42.1% chance to charge, or a 57.9% chance to die. You do the odds. Lights Out, while a fairly good film, blocks combo reaction windows to give an enemy fighter a charge token instead. Yeah, just don't use it. Never Saw It Coming gives you 1 glory for doing precise damage with a combo attack. It's just not that useful. For my Gambits Top Picks, a Good Death is a good deal broken. Gain 1 glory when an enemy fighter takes out a friendly fighter with a lower wounds characteristic. It's like Martyred, but as a Gambit. Burning Wrath lets you reroll any dice for a fighter's attack action and persists until they are out of action. The cost is you deal 1 damage to that fighter at the start of each of your activations. Sounds bad, but really good on throwaway 2 wound fighters that have weapon upgrades. Dark Sacrifice is good card draw. When a Gambit or attack kills a friendly fighter, draw 2 power cards. Costs you losing a fighter, but it is excellent in Swarm/Horde warbands. Drawing power takes setup, but is amazing. Choose a friendly fighter holding an objective. Deal 1 damage to them and give them a guard and charge token. Then they also get +1 dice and +1 damage to range 1 and 2 attack actions until that fighter dies. Move/charge onto an objective, play this in the last activation of round 1 or 2, and then go on a murder spree. It's really good. Finish It has a great name and effect. The first attack in the next activation is considered to have been a successful combo attack, allowing you to use the powered up version attack instead. It's nice for combo decks that are about to lose all their power when rotation hits very soon. If at first you don't succeed, is more good combo support. Attack again with an attack that fails after attacking in reaction to an attack with combo. Attack. It's a good combo card basically. Lessons Learned is amazing in Swarm/Horde warbands with multiple defense dice. Play after a friendly fighter is killed, and gain innate dodges and blocks for the next defense roll. Omega's offering is also too good. Put a glory token on a friendly fighter card. When they die, you gain 1 glory. Combine with the good death for 2 glory from losing one of your own fighters. Really good for Swarm/Horde warbands. Almost way too good. Quick Opener is ready for action basically, but for when you play a combo attack action upgrade. Very strong to attack out of sequence, even if it is locked into combo. Scent of Weakness is pretty good. Reroll 1 dice when attacking against an enemy fighter with 1 or more wound counters. Great for warbands that can't do one-hit kills. Your Blade is Broken is pretty much broken, especially on Swarm/Horde warbands. When a range 1 or 2 attack action kills a friendly fighter, reduce that attack's damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 and persist until they are taken out of action. This would be fine in Arena Mortis, but is so much more powerful in the main game. You can only play it once, and it becomes even more powerful once we lose/have more +1 damage upgrades restricted. Now we go on to upgrades. Crippling Strike is range 1, 2 smash damage 1 with combo and cleave. After succeeding, give the target a move token. There are better attack starters for combo, and this blocks the same reaction window. Heavy Reminder is range 1, 2 smash and 1 damage, and counts both smashes and furies as successes. If made after a successful combo attack action, it gains +2 damage. It's okay, but not exactly amazing. Insanely Territorial, reroll any defense dice and attack dice, but you cannot make move actions. It's, funny. Good in Turtle Hunger builds for Gorath who won't do anything, but otherwise not that good. Puncturing Riposte triggers when the equipped friendly fighter is killed to do 1 damage at the start of each round to the attacker. Just don't run it all. Screaming Demise gives a charge token to any enemy fighter after being killed. Like, it's alright, but is actually very situational in terms of using effectively, as your opponent can play around this. Spinning Menace makes you into a Beyblade. +1 dice and scything to range 1 attack actions at the cost of scattering free each time you make a move action. Just pass. The last word does 2 damage on the roll of a channel when this fighter is killed. It's just not that good. The Seal of Retris lets you recycle an upgrade that is discarded upon use. It's fine, I guess. The Seal of Xeris does 1 damage to an opponent after the drive back step of your attack. They then get 1 glory. Don't use this. The Glory Kill is range 1, 2 smash and damage 2. Gain an additional glory when killing an opponent with this as part of a combo attack action. Yeah, it's just not that good. The setup is hilarious, but only good for combo builds. Range 1, 2 smash damage 1 with combo. The opponent is considered to have rolled 0 successes for defense. It's fun and harmless. Now it's time for my upgrades. Top picks. Berserker Rage is pretty good. +1 dice and damage to range 1 attack actions at the cost of always counting as rolling no successes for defense as you skip the defense roll. Great for throwaway fighters or those that have a high wound count. Blessing of Behemat gives you +1 wounds, +1 movement, ignoring blocked and occupied hexes, as well as immunity to lethal hexes, at the cost of discarding a glory point to equip. Like, even with that glory discard cost, this upgrade is too good, especially if you're snowballing ahead. Dying Curse, Dying Balance. After a gambit or attack kills this fighter, discard and the attacker gains the modifier of -2 wounds, to a minimum of 1. Good on any warband, but amazing on Swarm/Horde warbands. Combine a good death and Omega's offering for extra silliness. Fortress of Arrogance grants you +2 wounds at the cost of always failing defense rolls and your opponent always succeeding as if they rolled a crit. Put on 5+ wound fighters at basically very little downside, as getting +2 wounds with no characteristic penalty is a huge boon, even with the downside of basically always taking damage from enemy attacks. Returning Strike triggers when an adjacent enemy fighter kills this friendly fighter. They are -1 move and defense to a minimum of 1. Until they are taken out of action. Like, this can almost completely shut down certain fighters. Yeah, your opponent has to attack this fight to trigger it, but the debuff effect's too strong. Shadow's Step Blow is a pretty decent attack action upgrade. Range 2, Free Fury, 2 damage with combo and ensnare. Can't be modified, but still a very good attack. The Seal of Orichalcos. Ordolos. Plus 2 defense, but take 1 damage, and pick an opponent to get 1 glory on the roll of a crit. Pretty fair, right? Sure. If you couldn't reroll your defense dice. Stack with an upgrade that lets you reroll defense dice and laugh your way to the win. The Seal of Primus. Are we Transformers now? Is Hasbro gonna sue? Range 1 and 2 attack actions have Cleave and Ensnare, but your opponent gains 1 additional glory when this fighter dies. If they die. Just put it on something like Mollog and laugh. The Seal of Ultimus is also a seal of power, like everything with the Seal of. And it has the following stacking effects. +1 wounds for 2 or more of those upgrades, +1 move for 3 or more, and with 4 or more you take an opponent's glory when killed. Stack with the Seal of Ordolos and the Seal of Primus for just more Voltron nonsense. Now I'm not going to go over all 20 hazard cards for Arena Mortis as there's a lot, but I will say I love them. I've loved them since they were first introduced in Dreadfane. They add a great element to games of Arena Mortis and make it much more interesting to play. I wish something like this could be included at least for casual games of Warhammer Underworlds. Heck, if you refined them a bit and toned them down in power, I could see them easily being used in Warhammer Underworlds games. They just add a random effect for that action phase, that round, right? So you could have something like rocks are falling or people are at -1 move, stuff like that. Yeah, it adds more random elements, but I like that hazardous nature of the Warhammer Underworld. It shows how the city and the place you're fighting in is always shifting and trying to make things worse for you, or sometimes make things better. You know, it's not a safe place to be standing around. You're basically at a constant fight for survival, even though you can't technically die. But yeah, out of everything in Arena Mortis, I'm actually really happy to see these. They're good and just fun. Now, here's a special subject that I feel is really appropriate to Arena Mortis 2. So in a change to how my reviews normally operate, coupled with my disdain for Arena Mortis, it's time for a new segment. What cards are going to be restricted next? The game is simple. I pick a selection of cards from Arena Mortis that I feel are super likely to get restricted and or Forsaken in the next, 6 months or so whenever the next Forsaken and Restricted list drops. Why? Because with every season we get an end of season card pack, and since Power Unbound and Night Vault, each one has released a bunch of broken and overpowered cards that have ended up all being restricted and or banned, Forsaken, right? And I'm 100% sure this is not going to change with Arena Mortis 2. So why should we beat around the bush? Let's just get on with it and have some fun, because we can easily identify which cards are broken and which cards are just going to get restricted, so you might as well use them now before they go. It's just the same loop. Release a bunch of overpowered and very strong cards that end up ruining competitive play, and once everyone has finally bought into them after 6 months or so, they all end up getting restricted, and everyone feels bad because people have either had to endure those cards for 6 months, or people have bought those cards and now the entire expansion is useless to them, like as we've seen with Power Unbound and Arena Mortis. I'm just bored of it at this point, and I really have no more energy to deal with it. If you're at home, why don't you play along with this game too and pick which cards you think are going to end up restricted? Let's compare lists and see who's going to be right in a few months' time. But anyway, here are my own picks for future restricted cards. A Good Death. Way too easy glory gain on dying. Drawing Power. Secure an objective for a turn, then go on a murder spree. Omega's Offering. More glory for, let me check my notes here, having a friendly fighter die. Telegraphed, but still, why? Berserker Rage. +1 dice and damage for auto-failing defense rolls, but will likely lead to easy kills from fighters rolling around as death dealers with stacking damage buffs. Blessing of Behemat, +1 wounds, movement, ignoring blocked and occupied hexes, as well as immunity to lethal hexes for losing a glory to equip. Yeah. Dying Curse, -2 wounds to any enemy fighter upon death, needs setup but has unlimited range, and it does -2 wounds. Fortress of Arrogance, +2 wounds at the cost of failing defense rolls. It has a big downside but will probably still be effective in Voltron builds. Returning Strike. When an adjacent enemy fighter kills this friendly fighter, they're at -1 move and defense to a minimum of 1 until they are taken out of action. Why not make them -1 damage too? The Seal of Audolus. +2 defense but take 1 damage and pick an opponent to get 1 glory on the roll of a crit. Let's pretend defense rerolls don't exist. The Seal of Primus. Range 1 and 2 attack actions have Cleave and Ensnare, but your opponent gains 1 glory when this fighter dies. More crazy Voltron power. The Seal of Ultimus. Voltron stacking power for the Seal of Power upgrades. Mortis relics what now? Will I be wrong? Will I be right? Honestly, who cares at this point? Balance is just screwed, so let's just ride with it. Whoa. Kill Team 2 overview. Oh, hold on, that's a game I like. Arena Mortis 2 overview. I'm not a fan of Arena Mortis 2. I wasn't a fan of Arena Mortis 1. I'm just burnt out from the endless new releases from Diachasm which we got within a 6-month period. And now I have to review a pack that adds a really nice board and a really nice set of hazard cards at the expense of 40 new power cards, with a big chunk being effectively broken that are most likely going to be restricted. Plus, we're still mostly in a pandemic wherever you are in the world, so gathering 2 to 4 players to actually play this game is fairly difficult. For pros, hazard cards are fun and are great to see back. You get fighter cards for 2 of the previously released Warhammer Community fighter cards for Arena Mortis. You get some combo support, and you get a nice game board. Special side mention, I like the change to card packaging as, Games Workshop actually cutting down on more plastic waste. I know some people think it's excessive, but, it's really nice to see. For cons, it's Arena Mortis. Tons of overpowered cards that will end up restricted. Arena Mortis is still far too easy to break unless you add a lot of house rules. You get combo support for a mechanic that is about to have most of the cards useful for it rotated out of competitive play. And my favourite quote from the Warhammer community website, fan favourite Warhammer Underworlds Arena Mortis is returning. So yeah, you know what? I figured out the perfect solution to this, right? Ban Arena Mortis cards entirely. Don't even use them for competitive play. We know they're all going to get restricted anyway, like the good ones. And, these cards are actually completely fine in Arena Mortis. Their effects are actually really balanced. The cost, is fairly okay because your activation is around and you can die and come back very quickly. So persisting effects aren't that overpowered. The effects are just tied to, because you can only get glory from killing. It's not that broken. These cards are generally completely fine in Arena Mortis. The problem is when you make them work in the main game as well. And we know they have to work in the main game so Arena Mortis sells. But, if I was doing a TO, if I was a TO for an upcoming tournament, I just wouldn't allow anything from Arena Mortis. I'd allow the boards. Board would be fine. Wouldn't allow the cards. Just skip the middleman. We don't need to wait for these cards to get restricted. Let's just remove them all now, Just save some time. Save all the pain and heartache from when, oh no, more Voltron builds appear, or like, oh, these cards, which should have had a downside, didn't. And I completely know why, but I'm not allowed to say. And I don't hold any ill will to the developers or the other playtesters involved. I'm just not really happy with this final product because I know what's going to happen. Like, it's happened with Power Unbound, and it's happened with Arena Mortis 1. And it's sure as hell going to happen with Arena Mortis 2. So yeah, let's skip the middleman and just refuse to use Arena Mortis cards in competitive play. If you're playing them casually, sure, why not? But as I said, the cards are completely fine in the closed environment of Arena Mortis, So would I recommend Arena Mortis 2? Personally, no. But if you're a competitive player, you're going to have to buy this for the power cards because some are just ridiculously strong. You're just tied into that. And maybe for the board. I like the boards having more choice, but you're most likely buying this just for the cards. Casual players will find Arena Mortis quite fun, although you will eventually tire of it quite quickly when played in succession, and as I said, you'll probably need to introduce house rules to make it fun to play. And as I said before, there's a pandemic going on, so if it is safe to do so, just remember, use common sense, yeah. But that's not something I hold Games Workshop against. They had to release this. There was never going to be a good time. So, it's just unfortunate like it was with Arena Mortis 1. Yeah, that's my review for Arena Mortis 2. You could probably tell I'm not really enthusiastic about it. As I said, if you haven't been paying attention, Kill Team 2, or whatever you're calling Kill Team, it's taken a lot of my attention because it actually turned out to be a really good game, and it has crits. And I'm just having fun playing it because there's actually people who play the game. I don't know, it's just, I'd forgotten about everything, but just reading these cards, knowing where it's all going to go in terms of it's just clear to see which cards are going to get restricted. Just don't have any energy for it. And it's a shame because I really like the hazard cards and boards. The hazard cards are just so fun. And I've loved them since Dreadfane. Now they just need to work their way into the main game of Warhammer Underworlds somehow. Because it's just a nice element, right? I'm sure there's a way you can implement them in a toned down way where they add nice effects to a game to add that sort of random element. And I know people hate randomness in a competitive game, but it needs something because the game has become very formulaic at the moment. So, and I know most competitive players want to remove all sort of variants to have it just based on skill. They want to draw the best starting hands and stuff like that. But, it's boring and it's not really that balanced when you think about it. But I don't know. I'm not going to lie, I am partly jaded with my disillusion with Underworlds at the moment and the fact I've played so many games of Arena Mortis. You have no idea how many games of Arena Mortis I've played. It's drained my soul and was my worst time during playtesting. But it is fun. Just for only a little bit. And it's so easy to break. And you will accidentally break it. It's a mess. It's a mess, right? It's like if you tried to make Relic the main format. That's how I would compare Arena Mortis now. So, but if you do like it, buy it. And if you're a competitive player, try and convince your local TOs not to use Arena Mortis cards if you're not interested, because otherwise you're going to have to buy it, right? But that's if any tournaments are even going on. And that's not even to mention there's basically none. So, yeah, well, it's up to you at the end of the day, right? This is just still my opinions and thoughts. Buy Kill Team 2, though. Kill Team's really good. Buy that, yeah. And before we end this review, please remember to like and subscribe, as well as comment about what you thought of Arena Mortis and this review as a whole, as well as, oh, why not, your whole thoughts on Warhammer Underworlds. Just hash it out in the comments. I'm more than happy to reply. So until next time, after you have to endure the fan favorite and high in demand game of Arena Mortis for Warhammer Underworlds, remember you can still always have so much fun by just rolling a lot of crits.